The president ready to meet world leaders over foreign policy. What's on the agenda as he ratchets up his fight with Beijing, increasing tariffs?
We're having a little spat with China, and we'll win it.
What he's ordering American companies to do.
Health concerns. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg revealing a new cancer battle, the second within a year. Her treatment and what her doctors are saying about her health.
Brewing storms. The tropical disturbance is already being felt in parts of the south as severe weather hits the central plains with tornadoes and dangerous lightning.
Stand your ground verdict. Jurors delivering their decision in a case involving this deadly shooting caught on camera that started with a fight over a parking spot. Was it justifiable homicide?
And new revelations from Disney Plus, Disney's new streaming service. The headline-making news at the D23 Expo. The new Obi-Wan series. A sneak peek at The Mandalorian and its droids. And the great news for Lizzie McGuire fans.
Feels really great to be home.
Ginger Z live with all the latest.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Ava tells me Lizzie McGuire was a huge thing for her growing up.
Little girls everywhere still love Lizzie McGuire. Come on.
I got to boost my cultural literacy. Hey, Good Morning America. Both Whit and Rob are off this morning. We are very happy, though, to have Sam Champion back with us. He's standing over there. We'll show you him in a minute. And joining us for the first time ever, Terrell Brown from our Chicago station. Welcome, sir.
Glad to be invited to the party. Happy to be here. Happy to hang with you guys this weekend. I have no idea what I'm about to get myself into with you guys and Sam.
Yeah, we'll take it easy on you.
We'll find out during the hour.
Before the morning's over. That's the good.
That's a good news.
Just watch out for Eva.
I'm the least of your worries, I promise. We begin here, though, with news that is breaking as we come on the air. President Trump arriving in France, where he will meet with global leaders as part of the G7 summit.
And the president's arrival comes at the end of a volatile week. The markets took a dive in the middle of this escalating trade war with China. Team coverage this morning. We start with ABC's Marcus Moore. He's on the ground in Biarritz, France. Marcus, good morning.
Terrell, good morning to you. We expect the president to arrive any moment now, and he will join in on these talks that will no doubt include that increasing and volatile trade war that we've watched unfold between the U.S. and China. And we've seen a tit-for-tat battle unfolding really in earnest in the last several months, including new developments just yesterday that brought the stock markets down. And it's also worth noting this morning that in many ways, President Trump is coming to this meeting as the odd man out, differing with allies on a number of key issues, including climate change, as you know, pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement, and also butting heads with Germany over defense spending with NATO. And while there have been efforts to isolate Russia over its aggression in Crimea back in 2014, President Trump recently has been vocal about bringing Russia back to this summit, but there is no apparent support for that move among the other leaders who are here. And something else that we will want to watch over the weekend is President Trump, his first meeting with Boris Johnson, his first face-to-face meeting with him since he became the new Prime Minister of Britain. So, Eva, a lot to watch here in the coming days in France.
All right, Marcus Moore, thank you. And before President Trump left for the G7 summit, he ratcheted up his trade war with China, increasing tariffs and ordering American companies to consider alternatives to doing business with the country. ABC's Rachel Scott is at the White House with the latest on the escalation and how markets are reacting. Rachel, good morning.
Eva, good morning to you. The U.S. and China going tit for tat back and forth here, each leader trying to come out on top. But all of this trickles down to the consumer. And the reality is consumers now will not only see higher tariffs, they're going to see more starting in just about a week. Blow by blow, the U.S. and China are becoming more entrenched in an ongoing trade war.
Our economy is doing great. We're having a little spat with China, and we'll win it.
Before departing for France, President Trump still insisting the U.S. has the upper hand, despite growing concern about a looming recession, in part due to the conflict.
No, I think our tariffs are very good for us. We're taking in tens of billions of dollars. China's paying for it.
Wall Street, though, on edge. The Dow plunged more than 600 points Friday. New retaliatory tariffs by China sent the president on a tweet storm earlier in the day, announcing, "I hereby order U.S. businesses to cut ties with China and move back to the U.S." a move he claims he has the power to do if he declares a national emergency.
Well, in 1977, we had an act passed, a National Emergency Act. I have the absolute right to do that.
And soon after, the president fired his next shot, announcing he's raising the rate of tariffs on about $550 billion worth of Chinese goods. $250 billion of goods from China will now see a 30% tariff starting October 1st. And the remaining $300 billion in goods will be hit by a 15% tariff, some of that starting September 1st. For consumers here at home, that means a higher price tag on things like electronics and clothes. Meanwhile, farmers who sell pork and other products to China are caught in the crossfire.
Pig farmers are currently losing about $25 to $30 per pig, and the future of the next 6 months does not look very optimistic.
And Rachel, this is a critical time for the president. As you mentioned, economy is one of his signature issues, and the stakes are high ahead of the 2020 election. But yesterday, we saw the president push the blame of any uncertainty to the Fed.
That's right, Eva. The president taking jabs at Jerome Powell, the man he handpicked for Fed chair. The president now saying if Powell wanted to step down and resign, he wouldn't stop him. The strategy from the White House here has been to push any focus, any blame, any sign of weakness in the economy over to the Fed for not lowering interest rates. But the Fed dropped those rates last month for the first time in a decade. The president now saying they need to come down even lower. Eva?
Rachel Scott for us at the White House. Thank you.
And so this is getting a lot of talk this morning. The health scare for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The Supreme Court justice revealed her second battle with cancer in a year. ABC's White House correspondent Tara Palmieri is at the Supreme Court this morning. Tara, good morning to you.
Good morning, Terrell. It's her fourth cancer treatment in the past 10 years, and all eyes are on her health because she holds a critical liberal seat on the court, one that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said he would quickly fill if vacant, giving conservatives a control over the court for decades. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is recovering at home this morning after revealing she completed a 3-week outpatient radiation treatment for pancreatic cancer. According to a statement issued by the court, Justice Ginsburg was diagnosed late last month, and as part of her treatment, doctors inserted a stent in Ginsburg's bile duct. The statement later describing the tumor as localized, saying that it was treated definitely and there is no evidence of disease elsewhere in the body. Justice Ginsburg, who is now 86, has been treated for various forms of cancer before. Last December, she underwent surgery for lung cancer. In 2009, a previous bout with pancreatic cancer required surgery. And in 1999, she was treated for colon cancer. Ginsburg, who's a strong liberal voice on the court, has served for over a quarter of a century. The Clinton administration appointed her in 1993, making her the second woman to ever serve. In her most recent interview last month, she said she plans to serve as long as she can.
I am very much alive.
Ginsburg, who is known for her dissents, has had her health under close watch by both conservatives and liberals, as President Trump has already appointed 2 justices during his first term, leaving the court in favor of conservatives by 5-4. Overnight, President Trump wishing her well.
I'm hoping she's going to be fine. She's pulled through a lot. She's strong, very tough.
And here's a sign of how she's doing. The Supreme Court justice was at Moulin Rouge on Broadway last night in New York. Now, the new term for the Supreme Court starts in October. Dan?
I'm very much alive, she says. Proof from last night. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Let's bring in ABC News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Jennifer Ashton to find out more about pancreatic cancer. When we hear the words pancreatic cancer, it sounds particularly aggressive.
Right.
What is it? What do we need to know?
Well, to be clear, Dan, first of all, any type of cancer potentially has the ability to become aggressive. The thing that makes pancreatic cancer difficult is where it's located in the body, the anatomy of the pancreas. It sits high up in the abdominal cavity in a place that the tumors can actually grow quite large before they start producing symptoms and before they can be felt. The function of the pancreas, critically important for digestion, regulates sugar levels, and unfortunately, there is not yet a screening test for pancreatic cancer.
So who's at risk here, and what's the follow-up?
Well, when you look at the risk factors, and I want to be clear with this, some are under our control, some are not. If you take a look at this list, things like obesity, smoking, heavy alcohol use, Ashkenazi Jewish descent, and certain gene mutations, including the BRCA mutation, radiation that we normally think of with breast and ovarian cancer also increases the risk of pancreatic cancer. Follow-up for this after treatment, serial blood tests to look at tumor markers and CAT scans. And I want to be clear, mind, body, spirit, very important.
Always a great point to make, Dr. Jen Ashton. We really appreciate it. Eva, over to you.
All right, thanks, Dan. Well, the tension between the U.S. and North Korea is also in the news this morning. A U.S. official confirms North Korea fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan. That is its 7th weapons launch in a month. President Trump downplayed the latest launch in comments right before he left for France.
New developments this morning involving the crisis in the Amazon, the so-called lungs of the world, on fire. The president of Brazil, a man sometimes known as the Trump of the tropics, now reversing course. At first, he said his critics might have set the fires to embarrass him, but this morning he is sending in the army. ABC's Matt Gutman is right there in Sao Paulo, Brazil, with the latest. Matt, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Dan. This is a dramatic reversal from Brazil's president. Not only is he authorizing the military to fight the fires, but also to prevent new ones by stopping farmers from clearing brush. But already, critics are arguing that this is a mostly symbolic move because of the relatively small size of Brazil's military. And this comes amid an international outcry that Bolsonaro has not taken these fires seriously enough. The scale of the fires is almost incomprehensible. In the United States, they would cover an area from Detroit to Los Angeles, and about 85% more forest has burned this year than last year. The government says a new fire is started, get this, every minute. Now, the area of smoke is so large it's visible from space. Now, the Amazon produces about 20% of the world's oxygen, helps regulate its temperature. But what is so troubling is that we're just at the start of the dry season here, which lasts through November, and forecasters are saying these fires are only going to intensify. Dan.
And as you said, Matt, it's a problem for the entire world. Matt Gutman on the ground in Brazil, thank you very much.
In the meantime, we go to Hong Kong, and police and pro-democracy protesters are facing off this morning. Hundreds of riot officers charged at crowds of thousands. They barricaded a main highway and a police station. The protesters worry that their freedoms will erode as China's Communist Party-ruled central government flexes its power in Hong Kong.
Now to the breaking news overnight, a verdict in a stand your ground case in Florida. ABC's Zachary Keese reports on why the jury's decision could be especially significant.
We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant in this case. The defendant is guilty of manslaughter as charged.
Michael Draca stood without emotion as a jury convicted him of killing Marquise McLaughlin in a dispute over a parking space at a convenience store. The week-long trial in Clearwater, Florida ended Friday night after jurors spent just 6 hours deliberating.
My family can rest now. Now we can start putting the pieces back together and move on.
Watch as McLaughlin, who is black, shoves Draca, who is white, to the ground. Seconds later, Draca opens fire as McLaughlin backs away. McLaughlin then runs inside the store where he collapses and dies in front of his son. Draca claiming self-defense and citing Florida's controversial Stand Your Ground law. An alternative juror says the surveillance video sealed Draca's fate.
I think there was a pause between the point where he realized he had hit the ground and pulled his weapon, between that and when he fired, and I think that gave him a chance to not kill him.
In a statement, McLaughlin's mother saying, "This conviction doesn't bring our son back, but it does give us some sense of justice, because far too often the criminal justice system fails us by allowing people who take the lives of unarmed black people to walk free as though their lives meant nothing."
You can see in that video McLaughlin moving away when he's shot. Now, after the shooting happened, the local sheriff said it was justified under Florida's Stand Your Ground laws. Later, the state's attorney brought manslaughter charges. Now, Draca faces up to 30 years in prison.
And it was all over a parking spot.
A parking spot.
Zachary Keese, thank you. Appreciate it. Here in New York, the mother of a 3-year-old boy is facing charges, including reckless endangerment, after police say she left her son inside a parked car while she stopped. It was an 80-degree day, and a window was slightly open, but a passing family heard the boy crying and called 911. The boy was taken to a hospital for evaluation. It happened outside the same store where another child was rescued from a hot car 2 weeks before.
Well, more and more concerns this morning about e-cigarettes and vaping. A patient died from a severe respiratory illness, and it could be the country's first vaping-related death. This morning, health officials sending an urgent warning about the dangers of vaping. An Illinois resident dying of a respiratory illness. The state's Department of Public Health saying that person had recently vaped.
When there's inflammation in the lung sacs or alveoli, they don't oxygenate. When we don't get oxygen, we can't live.
The CDC currently investigating 193 severe pulmonary illnesses in people who use e-cigarettes. The cases spread out over 22 states. Health officials have not identified a particular device or liquid as being associated with those cases. Among those hospitalized, 17-year-old Tristan Zofeld rushed to a Texas hospital with a blockage in his lungs. His doctors say because of vaping.
I woke up just throwing up everywhere, and my heart was just pounding out of my chest, going 100 miles an hour.
In late July, he was in a medically induced coma. His parents then learning Tristan had been vaping without their knowledge since the 8th grade.
He's a very sick, otherwise healthy-looking child. And we don't see previously healthy 17-year-olds that sick that quickly.
That video hard to watch. The CDC has confirmed all cases were using e-cigarettes or vaping in the months leading up to developing pulmonary complications. However, details regarding how many people were using THC, CBD, nicotine, or other products in these cases has yet to be confirmed. But a reminder that we still don't know a lot about vaping. This is a relatively new thing.
Yeah, and something that a lot of people are keeping an eye on. Yep. Yeah. All right, let's chat weather. Sam is here.
Welcome. I should welcome you.
Look, it's good to meet and see you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Know that you got a lot that you're talking about and watching.
Yeah, this has been a tough summer for storms, really around the country. We never got into a quiet summer pattern, and we don't have one today, so let's get to the board. We got 2 pieces of video to share with you. One of them coming out of Casper, Wyoming. You're going to see a perfectly formed tornado here. One of 2 reported in the area. Now, the good news with this storm, if there is good news with any tornado, is it didn't really do a lot of damage. It's out in the middle of some place where people weren't really terribly affected by this storm. The next shot out of Birmingham, Alabama, some flooded roads. Half-inch of rain in 5 minutes, 4.8 inches of rain near Birmingham as well. Now, the system that is sitting here in the middle of the plains is going to stay in place. The storms you've got right now, you'll have for a good part of the weekend. There's some flood alerts there for Nebraska and Kansas as well. Notice this low does eventually start to move. It moves a little bit toward the east. We'll get some more rain in Alabama. We'll get some more rain near the Chicagoland area. This is where the tough storms could be developing during the day today, so it's a slight risk from Goodland to Wichita to Oklahoma City. But again, that rain does continue in the middle of the country in the heartland for a good, at least until Monday. That's the weather around the nation. Here's what you can expect this morning.
Hello and good morning, Washington. Meteorologist Alex Liggett. Enjoy this weekend ahead of you. Low humidity under mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Temperatures today around 80 degrees. More of the same on Sunday. Yes, I hope you booked your tee times in advance because it's going to be a nice weekend ahead of us. Early next week, things will change. Mostly cloudy skies on Monday. Cooler temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Back in the low 80s on Tuesday. Chance for some stray showers both of those days. Chance for storms as we get into Wednesday of next week.
In the next half hour, the complaint department is open, and we're getting a lot of complaints about the cool air moving in August. We also have some tropics to talk about as well.
We're not complaining, though, about how bright white your sneakers are. What's the
Scrubbing those with a toothbrush?
Yeah, with the tire white, you know, buffing them, making them shine. Yeah.
I think the deal is when you're Sam champion, you wear new sneakers every day.
Fancy.
I need that.
Yeah.
Looking fly, though. Nice.
Thank you, Sam. An emotional return to the field in a town called Paradise several months after it was devastated by that deadly wildfire. And Diane Macedo is here with the story. Nice to have you back on the set.
Good morning, everybody. Good to be back. So the town of Paradise came together for their first high school football game since that deadly wildfire forced them to cut last season short. The cover of the program read New Beginnings, and the Bobcats made sure this one was one to remember.
Emotions were running high as Paradise Valley High School's football team took the field after surviving California's deadliest and most destructive wildfire in history. Fans packed the stadium supporting their team against rival Williams High School. Just last year, this was the town of Paradise. The fire destroyed over 150,000 acres. 90% of the high school students lost their homes, 86 people lost their lives, and nearly the entire community was forced to evacuate.
Please, God, just let us out. Let us get out safe.
At the time, the team was in the middle of a successful season heading to the playoffs, but the decision was made to end its run. In the days following the wildfire, the nation showed solidarity. Even the San Francisco